Democrats. I know. We're going to make fun of them today. Democrat leader Hakeem Jeffries says the Democrats can't do anything to oppose Republicans. And the Democrats are upsetting their progressive base. They're upsetting everyone that was part of their coalition. I've been noticing this as the weeks have passed since November 5th, and that is everything that the Democrats have done has ended in complete failure. I mean, they're not acknowledging their arrogance, their pride, and how they failed as a political party. Now, maybe it's too soon to say that they are facing an extinction level event, but as a political party, you have to get up off your feet and recover. And I will say this, after Obama was elected into office, the Republicans were making a huge amount of defeats and making a huge amount of errors, but they were able to recover. Case in point, Trump was a response to the 8 years of Obama. This is abundantly clear. And the Biden-Harris administration didn't do themselves any favors, as did the Democrats like AOC or Bernie Sanders. When you're constantly giving up on your values and giving up on your base and assuming that people will fall in line and vote for you, well, then you're welcoming defeat. You have to adapt and you have to energize your base and you need to bring in new blood. But because you've got a lot of old politicians who are greedy and refuse to admit that they are the setting sun, they walk into more traps, more losses. And as a political party, I wonder who will fill in the gap for the Democrats. But nonetheless, Crimea River Democrats, you were given this warning 8 years ago. And if you're not going to listen, then I'm not going to help you because you made it clear that you don't want our help. So first of all, a huge shout out to Case Study QB. Follow him on social media. Let's watch our friends at BSDNC finally recognize that, oh no, the Democrats are getting it up the wazoo.
President Trump and an unelected reactionary billionaire are working overtime to dismantle key parts of our government. And they're waging war against progress and any shred of accountability for themselves or their allies. So what is one of the key leaders of the opposition party saying during these unprecedented times? Well, that's a good question. How is he planning to lead or to inspire the resistance against what is starting to look like authoritarianism?
I'm trying to figure out what leverage we actually have. What leverage do we have? Republicans have repeatedly lectured America. They control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. It's their government. What leverage do we have?
What a message, no, from House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. The idea that Democrats would concede defeat less than a month into Trump's presidency is not just disheartening, it's also alarming. Republicans currently have just a 3-vote edge over Democrats in the House. That's one of the smallest majorities in U.S. history. Let's go back to 2010, when Republicans were the ones in the minority. Remember, they weaponized backlash against the Affordable Care Act and embraced the Tea Party movement, ultimately leading the party to pick up 63 seats in the House in the midterms. It was so bad that then President Obama famously said Democrats took a shellacking. 4 years later, Senate Republicans successfully campaigned against Obama, allowing the GOP to take full control of Congress. And let's not forget what the Democratic Party accomplished in 2018 after Trump's first presidential victory. House Democrats campaigned on the backlash to Trump's first term and his efforts to repeal the Affordable Care Act. They won back the House with the highest voter turnout we've seen in the midterm election since 1914. Now, Jeffries' comments that Democrats have no leverage aren't just absurd.
No, actually, it's on point why they have no leverage. It makes perfect sense because they realize that the diehard base, like the correct base of progressives and independents that could actually engage in outreach to people across the political spectrum, were kicked out. Anyone that was critically challenging the leadership is gone. And now many of the Democrats, or either that the liberals that were smug, are kind of realizing, we lost some of the big brain thinkers. We lost some of the heavyweights. I mean, I remember 2016. I remember the Bernie Sanders movement. It was lightning in a bottle. Hell, we saw the rise of two political movements. We saw the MAGA movement under Trump, and you saw the Bernie Sanders movement. But what's the difference between Bernie Sanders, the Democrats, and Trump and the Republicans? Trump kept his political base motivated, energized, and around. The Democrats broke it apart divided people, pushed people out, and that political union, that great movement that started in 2016, died out. It can be argued it was almost resuscitated and brought back to life in 2020, but then that quickly died out. And look what happened in 2024. Where were the massive crowds? Where was the motivation? Well, it was dissipated, evaporated. As soon as Biden made his announcement that he was going to run, you saw AOC and Bernie Sanders endorse him right away. All these great progressive leaders from way back then just give up on all their values and go for Biden. And as soon as Biden failed miserably against Trump in that first debate, then comes in Kamala. And what does all the quote unquote progressive heavyweight champions, the liberal influencers do? They endorse Kamala. $2 billion down the drain. They don't have any leverage. I mean, $2 billion was invested into Kamala Harris's campaign, and it didn't go anywhere. I remember covering election night, and I had people across the political spectrum on my election night show. I doubt any of them would say that Democrats have leverage then or even now, because they don't have leverage. Where's their crowd? All what they're screaming about is that we're going to fight. All what they're doing is putting on a song, show, and dance in front of the Department of Education. And I made it very clear. If the Democrats really gave a damn about storming the Department of Education, they would have done what the South Korean politicians did to get inside Parliament. You go ahead and break down the window, break down the wall, and you get inside that goddamn building. But if you're not going to do that, then stop wasting my time. If you're going to be doing nothing but glorified parades and theaters, seeing how you're going to fight, then you're wasting my time. If you're talking about impeachment of Trump, you are wasting my time. Unless you're going to give people something of value to vote for, you are wasting your time. The Democrats do not have leverage.
They also show Democrats are still out of touch with what voters want. Because according to a new CBS News YouGov poll, 65% of Democratic voters want the party to oppose Trump as much as possible. That's compared to 35% who want to work with him. The second figure is down from last month when 54% of Democratic voters said they wanted the party to find common ground with Trump. And yet, Axios reports House Democrats are, quote, pissed at liberal grassroots organizations like MoveOn and Indivisible that are trying to stir up more confrontational opposition to Trump. One Democrat said the House Minority Leader is very frustrated at the groups, reporting that Jeffries himself has dismissed. Isn't the Democratic Party supposed to be right now in the midst of a reckoning, trying to figure out what happened after the election results, trying to listen to what voters actually want? And aren't Democrats the ones who campaigned on this idea of defeating Trump in the name of saving democracy? That was the message.
You can't save democracy because we're not a democracy. We're a constitutional republic, but we're really an oligarchy, okay? So all this talk about saving something, if it's already been bought and sold out, it's done. Like, the damage is done. You can't save something that's correct. How many of these politicians in the Democrat Party do insider trading? Like, I'm not going to waste my time with a political institution that involves itself in corruption. If you're talking about Trump being a danger, what about your danger? What about the money that you have invested in, Democrats, in some of your wonderful, fantastic trading, like in war or in the prison industrial complex or in other things that really, you know what, make me raise an eyebrow and say, well, how did you get so good at insider trading? You always keep on winning. It's like you got a cheat code. And yet you are supposed to be the people of honor and integrity. What leverage do you have? You have none.
If they want to have any shot at getting back into power, they need to listen to their base, to the floor, to the field. They're asking for a fight, not a surrender.
Mm-hmm. Yes, to fight. Well, let's talk about fighting, all right? Because the Democrats don't know how to fight. I want to pull up this video from 2024 about the Democrats. And see, Democrats can't do that. This is from 2024. See, the Democrats can't do that because that means also upsetting their base that they've created. But see, that base is such a small group of people. See, now I've been able to talk to Trumpers and libertarians, and guess what? I don't agree with a lot of things. But, you know, I'm hearing them talk about Medicare for all. I've heard a couple of Trumpers say how they hate their health insurance. and how these corporations are screwing people over. I've heard from a lot of conservatives and libertarians and Trumpers how they hate the wars that we're in. Yeah, there's some common ground. But because of corporate media, because of the influence of our politicians, we're told to hate each other. And listen, I bring this invite to everybody across the political spectrum. I'm proud and glad that I have such a diverse audience, because the only way we're going to get out of this mess is by working together. And for those of you who say, well, gee, kid, how come you keep on punching at the Democrats? You know, the Republicans are corrupt too. Yes, I know. Nothing I can say about the Republican Party will be anything new. What can I say that hasn't been said already? I mean, everyone's right now all shocked about the USAID. But what I would say to these Republican lawmakers, how long have you been in Congress, Senator or House Representative? You're acting shocked now? Don't play stupid with me. Congress is a room filled with professional liars. All of them know about the money disappearing. All of them knew. They knew in some form or another. There's no such thing as innocence in Congress, only varying degrees of guilt. They're all guilty. My beef with the Democrats is that they made themselves look out as though they are holier than thou, as though they cannot be opposed. And I cannot stand that kind of hypocrisy. That's just me.
Problems that we have.
Exactly. And of course, how did the Democrats respond to any kind of criticism? Or is it at trying to rebuild themselves? Well, this came out on Valentine's Day. New Democrats chair Representative Brad Schneider talks about their moderate caucus and concern from moderate members about progressives joining their group. You never had a seat at the table. So Justice Democrats, Brand New Congress, Our Revolution, DSA, and whatever the hell other damn organization out there. 8 years wasted. 8 years wasted. Citizen ballot initiatives, forming organizations and groups not connected to DC, and supporting third parties and independents. That's how you're going to gain ground. The Democrats don't want you in. They just want your silent, obedient consent.
So you are the chair of this new Democratic coalition. What exactly does that mean? What's the new part of that?
Well, the new reflects our vision and for the looking forward. We are the moderate Democrats. We are the largest group. We've grown to 110 members, up from 42 members when I first came to Congress a decade ago. We are the centered, strong voice of that middle right now, looking for colleagues on the other side of the aisle that we can work with. But it's been pretty much hollowed out. We're focused on three things. We're focused on an economy that's working for Americans.
That's a lie.
Creating quality, well-paying jobs, creating opportunities.
Lie detector test determined that's a lie.
We're focused on healthy and safe communities. And
that's a lie.
A strong national security and national defense. And for 27 years, we have been putting together ideas and working within the caucus and across the aisle to put the American interest first and advance American policy forward.
And that's a lie. All lies. These are all lies. This man does not have a goddamn plan.
So our friends over at Punchbowl this morning in their morning newsletter said that there are some members of the new Democratic coalition who are actually getting concerned that too many progressives are joining, and it may be pulling the group a bit to the left, or they could be put in this interesting position. There's a quote, "It's a problem," one new Dem member told us.
Hold on, Mastermind Hour. Washington, D.C. has money for wars, but no money for wars? Wait. Mastermind Hour. Get up and go see the White House counselor. Shame on you. Shame on you. This is a family-friendly channel, okay? It's a family-friendly channel.
Technically, there wouldn't be an issue with progressives joining, but if they're doing it because it's the political zeitgeist at the time, then it's a problem. What problem do you see?
Well, we have a pretty... I don't see a problem. We have a pretty extensive vetting process. We ask everyone to fill out a questionnaire talking about their policy priorities and what they hope to accomplish. They meet with leadership. They're voted on by the entire New Dem coalition. We're growing because I think we are where the American people are. And you look at the election, we protected 85 of 87 incumbents. We added 25 new members. And we have a lot of members wanting to join. So the new Dems, I think, have a clear vision of where we want to take the country. It is a country that serves American interests, uplifts American lives and makes life easier for working families. And that message is resonating.
No, it's not resonating because as it's being made clear, I've been following a couple of these outrage protests against Trump, impeaching Trump, resisting Trump, holding parades, and people screaming. And you know what I'm seeing from the Democrats? Only those lame enough to show up are going to show up. Only those dumb enough to think that protesting in front of Trump Tower is somehow going to make Trump rethink his ways and get afraid. Democrats, you've lost the argument. For 12 years, Trump has been part of our political discourse. Hell, it could be argued that he's been part of it even much sooner because, yes, he did make a run as an independent way early on. But no matter what you say and do now, Democrats, you have to admit the fact that you guys lost, not only to Trump, but you lost your base. You had a golden opportunity. And to be clear here, you know, people have been asking, well, when did Bernie Sanders become a massive hypocrite or a piece of shite? He's always been that way. If you create something as organic and as powerful as we saw in 2016, and perhaps I'm only speaking as myself as an armchair general, I would cherish that political movement. I would fight and die for it. People gave up their time, their money, their sanity to fight for Bernie Sanders and to maybe restore or rebuild the Democrat Party. I know, looking back at it now, I can't believe those words even came out of my mouth. Restore the Democratic Party, rebuild. But the thing is, the captain of the ship abandoned ship before it even left port. So that means the Bernie Sanders campaign was rudderless. It was just on autoplay until it sunk to the bottom of the ocean. And so when you see Hakeem Jeffries say that they have no leverage, they really don't. I mean, anyone of any real credibility has long since left the Democrats. And all what they could do is this performative art show. And they're going to be relying on resisting Trump and impeaching Trump. But I'm not hearing anything about Medicare for all. I'm not hearing anything about student debt forgiveness. I'm not hearing about anything about them admitting for the fact that they allowed not one, but numerous wars happen under the Biden-Harris administration. I'm not hearing anything about the corruption that was happening under the Biden-Harris administration. I'm not hearing anything about the abuse of power that was happening under the Biden-Harris administration. And I think we are due a goddamn apology from the Democrats and vote blue no matter who people who constantly kept on bullying and harassing people throughout all of 2020, saying that we owed Biden a vote. We owed him a vote. No, Democrats. You owe us an apology. You owe us so much. But there's no helping you because I know as soon as people help out the Democrats, they're going to get screwed over. You're going to keep on waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. You want real action done, we got to do it ourselves. Citizen ballot initiatives, building movements and organizations not connected to DC. That's how we move on. And the same thing applies to, yes, the Republican Party. Because on their end, it's like, oh, I can't believe all this corruption's happening. I'm pressing X to doubt. Don't act like a saint. They knew. And for the new Republican lawmakers who are in, because I have benefit of the doubt, they're just probably finding it like, whoa, how did it get like this? Look at your senior leadership. They've been known about it for decades. All of DC knew about it. It's a big club. And the Democrats have no leverage. They have no plan. And as for the Republican Party too, yeah, they ain't got no plan. It's about keeping things the way it is, how it's always been. The post-duopoly. That's what we here at Harlan's Media do. That's what RBN does. That's what Due Dissidence does. Break away.